sales office of the FBI. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 9.
Hello. Thank you for calling the FBI. This is not a 911 service for taking emergency calls. For
FBI, can I please get the correct spelling of your first and last name?
Can I do a complaint on this line?
What is it? I'm sorry?
I'd like to do a complaint, and I've been deprived of the right to do complaints and get a resolution.
Okay, and you said you wanted to do a complaint?
Yes. Does the FBI give an update on complaints and call a person back? I mean, what is the response to a complaint?
Okay, so hang on just a minute for me. I need to ask some questions, but you're more
I don't
welcome to
understand why you don't want me to know why the
content.
FBI would deprive me of the right to know the complaint process, period, for years.
So what you've reached today is the National Threat Operations Center. We intake information from the public.
I didn't ask that, ma'am, because as they've told me for years, I just want to know what is the process of a complaint. If you do a complaint, what is the step?
I can intake your information, ma'am, if you'd like to provide it today.
Okay, so you don't want me to know the process if you ever get a call back or a response from any reports for years. You do not want me to know that, period, at all. At all.
Ma'am, we're an intake-only facility. I'm not able to speak on what happens with the information.
That doesn't make sense, ma'am. So you do complaints and don't want the party to know what happens for the update of the complaint? So you just make empty complaints that never get investigated for years?
And I can't speak on what happens.
Sure, ma'am. Sure. Okay, well,
if you would like to provide information, I will intake it for you.
Okay,
However,
well, ma'am, I also this complaint is on multiple federal officials or government officials committing crimes and tampering with evidence, especially on this call system, and depriving me of the right to do tips for threats to national security, even in person.
Okay, and can I get your name? Would you like to provide your name?
Yes. Well, see, ma'am, they're so
today?
corrupt. They're so corrupt, ma'am. When I give you my name, they have it in the system that don't take tips from me. And I'm targeted by the government and deprived of all law enforcement, period, which is criminal.
Okay, so...
When I'm not being heard, ma'am, because when I give you, I want you to be aware that there's a crime in the system, ma'am. So when I give you my name, it's going to say, don't talk to me, which is a clear-cut felony. If they're depriving me of the right to make tips when I call here, that's a felony crime. So I'll give you my information, ma'am, but I'm not being heard, ma'am. When I call here, all operators cover for crimes that happen to me, all of them, for years. That are so corrupt, they have put in the notes that when I call, do not talk to me, which is a clear-cut felony crime. So I want you to be aware when I give you my information, it's going to say, do not talk to me, which is a clear-cut felony. That's why I want to do a complaint. They have no right to deprive me of the right of giving tips, and I'm targeted by the government, and their behavior makes them a threat to national security. So I'll give you my information, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, my first name is, and I'm doing a complaint. So depriving me of the right to do the complaint, is not excusable.
Okay. So you said your first name was... All right, and you said you're filing a complaint because they will not allow you to make a report?
Yes, they won't. I can't use the emergency call system. The government has defrauded me out of a lot of money. I'm targeted. They've stolen child support payments, lump sum of Social Security benefits scheme with that to take those all the way back to 2008, and it's 2022 scheme. So my check would be garnished when I got a raise in criminal activity. It cost me my job. My son got hit with a car. There was another mysterious accident where someone got killed. And I'm deprived of all law enforcement. Police are so corrupt, they've interrupted me having conversations at bus stops. They've interrupted me having conversations with City Hall workers. And interrupted me getting assistance at domestic violence locations to the degree of an assault and an arrest. My interference with child custody crimes, depriving me of the right to report my daughter's child abuse at CPS. They came personally at the Mockingbird location and intervened. Now they're putting every avenue to have access to my child, which is criminal. There's obvious crimes that are enforced by a multitude of government workers and officials. My car has been hit. My son has been hit. There's child abuse and psychological abuse in her environment that the government enforces. And they have tried to scheme to where I can't report their crimes on the emergency call system so they can enforce more criminal activity. And I have been deprived of law enforcement from the FBI and at all avenues of law enforcement, the DOJ.
Okay. All right, ma'am. Well, I have this information documented.
Yeah,
for
you've been
you, okay?
documenting it years, ma'am. There's extreme events and an investigator never called me back. That's the complaint. And I'd like to get down to the bottom of why they were so corrupt. They tried to convince me that I couldn't do tips on such extreme events. Why would the United States deprive me of law? Ma'am, I'm not being heard.
Ma'am,
If that's an extreme event, what you're saying doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, ma'am, that you have been committing this crime for years. There is an extreme event. Why would the FBI deprive me of investigation? Ma'am, why would you disregard me, ma'am, and end the call and there's someone got killed? Why would you end the call and someone got killed, ma'am?
This line is reserved for official FBI business related to criminal activity within federal jurisdiction or matters of national security. A review of your call history indicates you have not provided such information. If you continue to call this line for non-FBI related purposes, the FBI will not take your information. Please contact 911 if you have an actual emergency. Goodbye.
It's sick. It was way worse. They wanted to make it sting. I've been reporting this years. I've been reporting it years. I saw my daughter the other day. She did not look well. She is not in a healthy environment. Condoning her own mother that the dad wasn't around. Being forced to condone the government terrorizing your mother. Witnessing it on YouTube. Witnessing corrupt police arrest your mother for profit. Sitting there witnessing screaming and terror. Living in an environment that bullies and condones the behavior of the government. Depriving you of the right to speak with your mother, the only party, the strongest party that was in your life. For a dad, another emotionally abusive person, and the dad that wasn't even really around. Forcing this child to condone and I agree with abuse, even her own. That's psychologically abusive. And then when the child had a mental breakdown, it's showing that this was affecting her. She was threatened to be given up to CPS. I called the police to report that a child was threatened to be given up to CPS for having an emotional breakdown of the abuse that the government put her through. The police comes, covers for it, and leaves and won't report it to CPS. Or all the multiple felonies of interference with child custody. This has been going on years. Why is it still going on? Why have I been arrested and assaulted for attending a domestic violence support group? If these are extreme events, why is nothing being done?